What's up, guys? So before we get into the actual podcast, I wanted to put this raw, heated debate between me and John, Caleb, and Jonathan, where we didn't even start the podcast yet. I just hit record and we were about to start it, and we got into this debate about Justin Herbert being top 10, if he's top 15, if he's top 5, and it gets very heated, and it's very raw. This is the rawest form of dorm debate that I want you guys to see, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy, and let me know in the comments if you're enjoying this clip, and then after this clip, it'll go right into the podcast.
You got to give him like the props.
Oh, I'm giving him credit. He's top 15. He's better than most quarterbacks in this
better
league.
than half.
Wow, that is wild, because I can't even think of 4 better than Herbert. I can't.
You can't?
I can't.
Hurts better?
Well,
No.
Well, come on.
Hurts is better.
but no, you gotta like.
Is Josh
10
Allen better?
quarterbacks.
Yes.
Sounds better. Yeah, I'll give it.
Okay.
Patrick
Mahomes.
Mahomes. Yes.
Okay.
So wait, Mahomes, not in
Lamar
any particular
Jackson.
order, but just top.
No.
You got
No.
Lamar, I mean,
Mahomes.
has Herbert won MVP?
Burrow.
No.
Burrow's
Mahomes,
not better.
Burrow,
Burrow's better.
Allen.
Come on, bro.
You got to
Tua.
take wins out of it.
Has Herbert won an MVP yet?
No.
Has Herbert been?
Burrow hasn't?
Herbert doesn't even win a playoff game. Burrow's been to the
Team.
Super Bowl.
I'm talking individual.
That
I say
correlates
for
a little bit.
individual, you'd have to be top. I'm trying to think. Name that we got Mahomes, not in particular
Tua.
order. Mahomes, Hurts, Burrow, Tua, Allen. That's 5, and then Lamar 6, and then what?
CJ Stroud.
No.
Not yet,
Dude.
Talking about
What? That's
individual.
wild.
Okay,
Like,
Trevor
those
Lawrence.
last-
Trevor Lawrence.
No.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
No.
What?
You would say he's better than Herbert?
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence. At this
Trevor
juncture.
Lawrence
Because
doesn't
I-
even touch Herbert in the same vicinity.
I really like Lawrence. but
Matthew
he's had more bad
Stafford.
games.
Yeah, he's had way
There's
more
no
bad
way.
games.
There's no way Herbert's better than Stafford.
Right now,
I'd throw
you would take
in there.
Stafford over Herbert? No.
I didn't think I'd
Oh,
say.
you kidding me?
Hey,
Yes, I
I
would.
got a good one. I didn't think I'd say this, but Brock Purdy.
Yes. Jonathan, I didn't think you would
No,
either.
but literally by like 10th rank.
All right,
you're
let's
starting to
do
reach a little
everything
bit.
off
We
of
gotta get
last
it.
game.
Jared,
All right, so
wait,
whoever
Jared, how about
sucked
Desmond
last
Ridder?
game. How about Desmond
Desmond
Ridder?
Ridder.
No.
He's better
These
than
dudes are point
Herbert. He's
guard.
better than Mahomes because he had a better game yesterday than Patrick Mahomes did.
What
Okay,
about
fuck everybody then.
Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
Yeah,
Kirk
you-
Cousins
you-
had a better game than Patrick Mahomes, so he's better than Kirk.
What about
Geno Smith? Geno
Zach
Smith.
Wilson.
Yep.
Zach-
Zach Wilson had a better game.
Hey,
That's not a
They-
bad
No, you-
choice.
that's not a bad choice.
You
They
broke
win. They
them
get the
out.
job
No.
done. That's all we ask
Literally
of you.
by
Get
8 or
the
9,
job
you guys
done.
have started reaching. You've been reaching a little bit for the
The
Herbert.
point-
Bryce Young.
Yeah, no. Well, the point
wouldn't
is
even give him
some of those quarterbacks you mentioned, Zach Wilson, they get the job done. I mean, I know it's a team game, but
Did they
the
really?
One position,
Did they really, Jonathan? Because there was an interception that took him to the 10-yard line, and then Brees Hall ran it in. Brees
the one
Hall, not Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson did diddly squat. He couldn't even get him in the field goal range when they only needed a field goal. He couldn't do any. He couldn't do it. And you give him these, you crown him for these wins. He does nothing, Jonathan. He does nothing of the sorts to do anything. He can't make a throw, Jonathan. And you crown him. What has he done?
makes
What the
the-
heck
hey.
has he done? Stop. Get off your knees. Get off your knees for this man.
He makes the throws he needs to. Hey, he makes the throws he needs to win the game. That's what Rich is saying. I know it's a team game.
He
but
didn't.
One position.
Brees Hall ran it in, and an interception took him to the 10-yard line.
So I jumped on the podcast late. Was that our last topic?
We
We ain't even
start.
started yet. Jonathan just spewing spewing
You go for the better team. I can't say it any other way.
I don't really think everybody knows what they're about to witness.
I know talent when I see one. I should be an NFL scout.
Jonathan, I don't like that pick. I love that pick. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dorm Debate Podcast, and welcome back to me, because I am now back. Caleb, thank you for filling in as moderator. You did a fantastic job of telling everyone that I was on my secluded forest escape.
Sabbatical.
Yeah, very similar.
We missed you.
Yeah, thank you. I missed you guys. I listened to the podcast. It was fantastic. On my way back from, it's a similar trip that I went on that Aaron Rodgers went on. So very secluded, like no internet, no technology. I didn't watch any
the
games.
darkness.
I was just all focused on that ashwagandha and a dark room. And yeah, I feel great. Just like Aaron Rodgers feeling great. He has brand new Achilles. He's throwing the ball. He's not even as a crutch or nothing. He's looking great. Could come back for the playoffs. They're saying even maybe week 16, week 15. So
I saw.
I had to see what he was on. So I had to go take a trip. So
We appreciate your in character, going that deep to the character.
Yeah.
That in depth reporting.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
thank
New
you.
video coming out Wednesday. Now we're on to the blind QB comparison. I'm super excited. I have 4 pairs of quarterbacks for you guys to decide who you think is better, just judging off of the stats. The stats are just very simple. We're not going to go too in deep with this, and we're not going to take it too seriously, like very, player A is definitely better than player B, but just off of the stats, it may be shocking to people this far into the season who has the better stats. So the first stat is yards, and then we'll do touchdowns, interceptions, and QBR. And I'll put this on the picture of the table on the podcast for everyone. And everybody listening, just go over to YouTube, and I'll try and explain each thing as best I can. So
not if you're driving, of course.
Yeah. If you're driving, try and drive with one hand, and then
We'll
have your
describe
phone
it
up on the other.
Oh,
Kidding. I'm kidding. So the first pair, I'm going to try and make sure this is the right pairing. Yep. Okay. So this is the first pair, player A and player B. I'm sending in the chat for you guys. Now, player A, as you guys look, player A has 1,618 yards, which is more than player B, who has 1,439 yards. Player A also has more touchdowns than player B, 11 for player A, 7 for player B. Interceptions, though, player A has more with 5, and player B has 3, and player A has the better QBR, 73.3, player B, 54.4. So player A has the better yards, touchdowns, and QBR, while player B has less interceptions. Who do you guys think you would take right off rip? We'll go around, just answer player A or player B, but then maybe after you could try and guess to see who would be these two players.
Well, do we get record or no? No record.
No team record. No
Okay.
team record.
No team.
So
record.
you're just looking at the yards, touchdowns, interceptions. Who you think this far into the season, who would that look like for you?
So for me,
okay, go ahead.
I'd probably go with player A. It's pretty close. Player B seems to be a little bit more efficient with the touchdown to interception ratio. A little bit less yards, but I'm not too concerned about the yardage because that player B might be part of a better rushing team. The QBR is actually a decent difference, about 19 points on the QBR. So I'd probably go with player A, even though they do turn the ball over a little bit more than player B.
Okay. So we got one vote for player A, Caleb.
Yeah, I'm going to go player A as well. This game scares me because I don't know who these players are. I don't have the greatest idea, and I'm
Don't worry, it's not Hurts.
very passionate. But in my eyes, I mean, they're almost better in every metric except interceptions. But I'm always saying this, like, quarterbacks that throw some interceptions take more risks, and the more touchdowns is reflective of a more offensive mind. So I'm willing to bet player A is the quarterback I'd rather have.
So 2 votes for
you've
player
tricked me,
A.
yeah.
Jonathan, who would you rather have, player A or player B?
I'd rather have player B.
Of course you
Because-
would. I knew you was going
Of
to say
course,
that.
because the QBR.
Well, despite no, despite the QBR, whatever the QBR says, despite the yards and the touchdowns, I think player B would give me, as a team, the best chance to win the game because it would give me more opportunities to have the ball. Turnovers, that gives the opposing sides more opportunities to beat you in the game, and that's not good. So despite the figures right there, I think they're close enough to where I would prefer player B over player A.
Okay, so we have 1 vote for player A, 3 votes for player A, 1 vote for player B. One just quick note. Jonathan, do you remember when we all lived together and we tried to do this with receivers with Jonathan and he always picked the worst guy?
Yeah.
I just always I knew that was
Yes.
going to happen when I was making this game, that you were going to try and outsmart us. Player B is actually Kenny Pickett.
Oh.
Interesting.
No, I'm just kidding.
Jonathan, your eyes got real big there. You're like, oh no.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, who
All
is-
right, so to reveal, player A is Jared Goff, and player B is Trevor Lawrence. Now,
Ooh,
the reason
that's a good one.
the reason I picked these two
Interesting.
players One was the difference in QBR I was surprised at, but two, they were both first picks in the NFL drafts. I think Goff was 20. I forget what year it was, but Lawrence was 2021, I think, or something like that. So both were first picks. Both are not crazy athletic, seem like the same kind of quarterback where they rely on pocket presence, throwing abilities. But Jared Goff, man, I mean, he was traded for Matthew Stafford and people were writing him off. Mm-hmm. And now we're 2 or 3 years into the Lions tenure for Jared Goff. He's slinging it. Great QBR, touchdowns, yards are through the roof. I mean, he looks amazing. And then Trevor Lawrence has great stats. But I think as a number 1 overall pick, some people may be questioning, like, all right, was he worth that first pick? It's still decided. He hasn't really statistically blown people out of the water with some of his statistics. So that's why I kind of pinned these two together, because I felt, wow, like Jared Goff, you kind of in your mind think he's worse than Trevor Lawrence, but the stats say otherwise.
Yeah, I like this. That was a great 2 players to choose. But I mean, like you said, Goff is slinging it, and they are tied for the best record in the NFL right now at 5-1. So they're a really good team. I think that I would probably stick with my player A. I still would rather Goff right now than Lawrence. I mean, if we're talking about this season stats, Lawrence, looked like he got it going against the Bills in London, and then this past week against the Colts. It remains to be seen how he continues to do, but I do like Goff in that offense.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Goff's having a career year. I think I won't go too much into it. There's a great comparison though with those two guys because being the first round picks, but it definitely felt like with Goff going to the Lions that he would be like a journeyman quarterback where the number 1 pick gets traded a bit, almost like I think comparably to what present minds would be more aware of is like Trey Lance. Like, not to say he doesn't have it, but a lot of time, or Trubisky's another example, but the fact that Goff went to the Lions, has kept and maintained the starting job, and has held on to the improvements he made even from the Rams. I think it was the first year where he was terrible, and then they kind of fixed him, and to see the work that he seems to put into the game, and he's having a career year, and the Lions are hopefuls for the playoffs, for sure. I definitely would still go with A as well, because I think Trevor Lawrence is definitely up there as well, but like he kind of alluded to, some great games, some not so great games, and then the first year as well being all sorts of stuff. Mm-hmm. It's a unique story with Goff to see a quarterback like that be traded for another quarterback and to still, maintain the job and then be in the conversation for one of the top quarterbacks, like the way, or at least over a guy like Trevor Lawrence. So it's, it's not a story you see often. So it's nice to notice that.
Yeah. I mean, again, great comparison. And a lot of people do agree with you guys that Jared Goff has been the best quarterback, probably one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league right now. But I would still go with Trevor Lawrence. I'll still go with option B because, despite the high scoring offenses for the Lions, high scoring offense for the Lions, I think Jared Goff would be that quarterback that would put you in a pickle towards the end of the game where he throws a costly interception or something like that. That could cost you the game. It's all about the turnovers, giving the other side the opportunity to score. And I think Trevor Lawrence is more clutch in that regard. Obviously those stats for Jared Goff are better, but the thing is, towards the end of the game, Trevor Lawrence will do what needs to be done to make sure his team, gets that field goal or gets that touchdown. He won't throw a costly interception at the end of the game. And so that's why you saw Trevor Lawrence go that far last year. He's still developing as a quarterback, but he doesn't make mistakes as much as other quarterbacks. I think in that Chargers game last year, in the first half, he was, his first playoff game, so getting all the nerves out. But the second half, you saw that, hey, this guy's pretty reliable when he's putting his team on his back and he's trying to really win an important game. Jared Goff, his team is 5-1, but I think towards the end of the season or even in the playoffs or something, he may make a costly mistake that will, cost his team the game. And that's why you saw Sean McVay get rid of this guy. He's talented, but he will make a costly mistake that will make you lose like a Super Bowl or make you lose an important game. And so with that regard, I would probably go with Trevor Lawrence because he's more clutch.
Okay.
Well, I'd say with like similarly, like the ceiling with Lawrence is unknown, but it definitely could be higher. But right now, Goff's playing better. But you alluded to it, like he did throw a pick towards the end of the Rams Super Bowl, So I think, and then the mental toughness it's still commendable to be the Lions quarterback and the guy, but to then be traded away, then your old team make the Super Bowl, like that's going to be the shadow for a while. So you start to you get those, but Goff's got to get some more of those to get rid of that stigma, because everything you said has happened. So I'm not rooting against him though. He's having a great year.
Let's go to our second pair of quarterbacks. We've partnered back up with Manscaped to give you guys 20% off and free shipping on all their items. That includes the Beard Hedger and all their below-the-waist grooming products. We all know how injuries can ruin a season, so let Manscaped protect that Reggie Bush of yours with their skin-safe technology. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming have created a championship lineup with their Performance Package 4.0. And it's time for you to do the same. Join the 9 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for kickoff by going to manscaped.com and getting 20% off and free shipping when you use the code DORMDebate. I'm going to send it in chat right now. And for the people listening, we have player A with 1,333 yards passing. Player B has more. 1,542 yards passing. Player A with 6 touchdowns. Player B with 7 touchdowns. Player A with 4 interceptions. Player B with 7 interceptions. And then player A has the better QBR of 63.3. Player B with 59.9. So if you're looking at this, player B has the better yards, better touchdowns, but has more interceptions and a worse QBR. So, who are we taking, player A or player B? John, you want to start?
I'm gonna go with player A again, and then this time I'm gonna agree with Jonathan's approach here, which is the interceptions. I think is a big story here. Player B has 7 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I'd rather have a quarterback that has 6 touchdowns, 1 less, but 3 fewer interceptions with 4. The QBR, I don't really care about. That's close enough. It's only 4 points off, so it's not a big difference there. The touchdowns really isn't a big difference. The yards, I know it's 200 yards, but maybe player A plays for a better rushing team, so I'd rather have player A, less mistakes.
All right, 1 vote for player A. Caleb?
Yeah, I'll have to go same thing, player A, not to copy your answer, John, but I know I think one comparison to make, because we just went over the Goff one, but like when you score, the player A, whoever they are, have 6 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. Like interceptions start to matter more the less you produce, and I think the fact that he has, although it is 200 less yards, the fact that they're more careful with the ball, I want to say. Okay. But for the sake of this game, I would normally say there's not enough information, but for the game, I'm gonna go with A.
Okay, so we have 2 for player A. Jonathan?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with player A because not to steal your guys' thunder, but 60% of the throws are touchdowns, right? And 40% are interceptions compared to the 50-50 of player B. So they could throw an interception.
Do you have a completion percentage on yours? Or?
Well, just between those.
Well, just between touchdowns and interceptions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just between touchdowns and interceptions. It's like 50-50. It's like 50-50 for player B, right? They could throw an interception or they could throw a touchdown, right? And so I mean, I think player A with the QBR being higher, those bottom 3 lines, touchdowns, interceptions, QBR, they speak volume for player A than player B. Player B, those aren't really impressive stats despite the yards. The yards are great, but it comes at a cost to whatever team that person plays for. So I'll go player A because of the efficiency and the less interceptions.
Do we have an idea about who player A or player B is? Just judging off of the stats. Did anyone look?
Let me think for a second.
You alluded to a running offense, so I feel like that's a good guess.
I would say one of them is, I think maybe player A is, I don't know. I have a feeling one of them's Justin Fields.
Well, Fields, Watson, Tannehill.
Yeah, somewhere in that vicinity.
Well, I think player B to me, I think it's Josh Allen.
No, he's way more than
Ooh.
7 touchdowns.
Well,
That's probably
well,
right.
Jonathan, your point is like player B. It's like he's averaging a touchdown and an interception a game because we had 6 weeks of football, so he's gonna score one of those a game. But
That's funny.
you know. Whereas player A will get you 1 touchdown a game and like a little less than 1 Like there's looking at it that way.
Right.
But stats numbers lie. That's why this game is fun. Because
Right,
you don't have
it's-
enough information to make.
It's
an
not the
informed
end all
opinion.
be all for this.
Yeah, it's not a statement on the real thing. I don't.
So, I'll
Yeah, I don't know.
review because
Please.
we should
I'm
have
curious.
time to discuss. Player B is Jalen Hurts.
Oh, I was gonna
dang.
say Hurts, but I didn't think he only had 7 touchdowns.
And
That's
player-
crazy. Are you serious?
Player A is Dak Prescott.
No.
I knew it.
Wait,
I knew it.
hold
I
on.
knew it. I
think,
knew it.
I think that I don't think that this is because you didn't put total. I thought touchdowns was like rushing touchdowns included.
No, this is all passing yards.
Oh, then that's
touchdowns,
Oh,
interceptions,
okay,
QBR.
well-
This is the game,
okay.
though. This is the game. Hurts is better than Dak, but I just chose Dak.
Yeah,
let's be
that's
honest.
what I was laughing about.
Yeah, hey, like the
Traitor.
stats don't lie. Dak is better than
That
Hurts.
was stats do lie all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Dak is better than
Nature of
Hurts.
statistics.
No, you didn't do
Yeah,
you didn't do
looking
total
at 4
touchdowns
lines.
though. We didn't do total touchdowns because Hurts would be at like 12. He
But
has
who-
5
but
rushing touchdowns.
Who plays the quarterback position better? Dak, according to
Hurts?
You cannot act, dude. You actually believe Dak's a better
Oh yeah,
quarterback than
right
Hurts?
now.
Oh
I mean,
my
look at
gosh,
according to these stats.
Jonathan.
No. Wait, on the real life though, not the 4 data points. Like for
Well,
real.
the data. You have to look at the data. You have to look at the data.
Now for the game, yeah, for the game, I
Turnovers.
we all went. for that.
7 turnovers. That's a big deal.
No,
That's not the only stat though.
I mean, but that's a big stat. Big.
Yeah, but how many?
It's
rushing
actually the
touchdowns?
second most in the NFL behind Jimmy Garoppolo at 8.
Jimmy G. Oh my god.
yeah, but
Jimmy.
Jonathan.
That's a big deal.
Dak led the
Oh,
league in
Dak's-
interceptions last year.
It was last year. It was off year. This year.
It's off
Okay.
here.
All right, well, let's talk about Hurts because you already talked about. Oh, am I frozen?
Yeah, you're frozen. I was about to say.
For me, you're
Yeah.
frozen. but
Yeah, for me too.
You're looking to the side.
we'll
Hang
do a
on.
little timeout.
A little timeout. Oh, you know why? Because my
I don't know if you saw it, Jonathan, but when I pointed out that you froze for me, you were good. So
Oh, gotcha.
you're fine. Yeah, I don't know why on my screen it was, but in the editing it was totally perfect, which is great. That's crazy. Should have seen it coming. I had a.
nice. Okay.
Or does it close? Oh, it's just passing. Yeah.
Yeah, just passing. I mean, Hurts would
Where's it?
have rushing yards through the roof. All right. I'll just restart here. Yeah, but as we look at player B, I mean, Jonathan and I have been talking a lot about Hurts just hasn't been playing up. I mean, this guy was picked second overall, second best player in the top 100 list for the NFL. And it seems like he's just not, I don't know, you feel like he's not turning a corner at some point. Like, you want to see those performances that he had in the Super Bowl play into the regular season, and it's not happening. And it's regular season. Who really gives a shit if they're winning? But Caleb, at this point, are you like kind of seeing what Jonathan and I are seeing? Like, I see him as on a high pedestal. And when he's playing like this, I'm like, okay, well then why is he top 2 in the league? I just don't see it as often and as consistently as I would like. And as an Eagles fan, you're probably saying the same stuff. Like, why are we in these close games with the Jets and the Commanders, Patriots, time and time again? Not like it's only his fault, but he's not helping.
Yeah, I mentioned when they lost. Obviously the last pick. The Jets have embarrassed a lot of great quarterbacks, like we discussed, and I did flash back to when you guys discussed some of the missed throws. And hey, bad games happen. The most recent one was probably a bad game for a lot of players on the team, but he's still the guy.
Oh
And
yeah,
I think
no question.
yeah, I think it's any, we talked about shaking the rust off and things like that, but we're getting into the season that he's got to improve, and I think they took accountability after the game. But I also think a lot of the games that are close have been because of good defenses, and as well as all this talk last year about how easy the Eagles schedule was, and we've had a harder schedule, and then we only had our first loss now. So it's like, I think you're seeing how the team is legit, but it's just more, compared to maybe there was some argument to the defenses played last year. Now you're seeing Eagles still get close ones against better defenses. So I think he's definitely a top guy. I will say one of my superstitious is not the right word, but I'm happy to see Hurts make his money, get his bag. But like the Hulu commercial and all that, I'm happy for him. But I've always had a nervousness to any quarterback. I felt this way a lot with Baker Mayfield, that when you start seeing them in a lot of ads, but they haven't won the biggest thing yet, I'm like, why are you setting them up to fail? Dak, Dak with the sleeping memes on the bed. I'm sure it's a great bed. I mean, even Allen, they're all great quarterbacks, but I just worry sometimes the exposure is like, you're making money, you got to do it, you got to do what you got to do, but like versus a guy like Mahomes who's won, it's not. This is a dumb thing
you
to
can't
even bring it
clown
up,
him
but
if
that's
he's
like
won. It's
yeah. Well,
I should have said that. I should have said Jalen Hulu has live sports. That's because that's his full name.
Right, it's a great commercial, and I'm happy for him. Again, it's you see all the quarterback, even Herbert. It's just something in my head that flashes through. So I mean, we were just in the Super Bowl, so it's a different thing. But no, you'd like to see the team offensively improve and do better. I don't think you'll see the dominance that we had in the first, like last year, in that same way. But this was our first loss, so I think the team's done well to take accountability. I heard that Coach Sirianni didn't even have to address the locker room because people were just saying like, yeah, Smith dropped a couple balls, some of the things, but that's part of the game, So like even coming into the season, Burrow's the highest paid quarterback of all time, and it's only just now they seem to be getting the offense going. I mean, maybe last week,
a lot of teams are starting off slow, but I feel like the good thing for you guys is Hurts isn't playing up to par, but you guys are like 5-1, so it's like
well, his standard, too, I think.
All right, we'll move on to the third pair of players and make sure I have the right one. Okay. Now for everyone listening, player A has 1,169 passing yards, while player B has more, just slightly, with 1,215. Player A has 5 touchdowns passing, while player B has 6 passing touchdowns, just a little bit more. They have the same interceptions, 3 and 3. And player A has the better QBR, 59-2, while player B has 48.8. So about 11-point difference in the QBR, same interceptions. Player B has the better touchdowns, and player B has the better yards, while player A has the better QBR. So off the top, John, which player are you selecting, player A or player B? Very close race.
Yeah, it is close, but for the third straight time, I'm going to go with player A because the yards, the touchdowns, interceptions, they're all close enough to not really matter that much. And for me, it comes down to the QBR. QBR doesn't just take into account those 3 stats. It takes a little bit more into account. So in terms of a game manager, I feel like player A's probably got a better record than player B. So I'm going to go with player A. They've got a 10 points better on the QBR.
Yeah, I'm going to change it up this time because the differences are so little that I'm going to go with player B. I'm willing to bet that the lower QBR, especially after
Don't
I got
worry,
burned
Hurts
last
is
round.
off. It's off now. It's done.
I got burned last. This is recency bias for me. But I'm willing to bet sometimes, the numbers do lie in some ways. So I'll say the gamble I'll take is the lower QBRs, maybe a more risk-taking quarterback.
Jonathan.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with player A. Like that QBR, that's too much of a difference for me to go to player B. So yeah, player A, the QBR is a big reason, and the touchdowns and interceptions are pretty similar. The yards, I think, again, it's not a big difference. So I'm gonna go with player A, given that QBR is pretty huge. And so yeah, player A.
Okay, 1 for player A, Two for player A, one for player B. Player A is Geno Smith. Player B is Joshua Dobbs. Joshua Dubs. And the reason I did this, obviously, the stats, very surprised at Joshua Dubs. But they play this weekend. And off rip this season, in my opinion, Geno has been a little underwhelming after last season. I feel like people have crowned him a little bit too early as his comeback year. Last year, I think he was comeback player of the year. And now I feel like people just kind of said, yeah, he's good, and they just throw him off. But, he's not having the greatest year, definitely not on pace for comeback player of the year that he had last year. And Joshua Dobbs was picked up to lose. And the guy has 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, more passing yards. The QBR, obviously, is a big hit. But this guy was picked up to lose, and was picked up like a week before the season started, and he's absolutely balling out. And I feel like we're talking about Joshua Dobbs like Geno Smith of last year. And then Geno Smith this year, we're not talking about enough that he really isn't performing how he should. But I thought this was an exciting pairing because I want to see head-to-head how these two play against each other this week because I'm super, super excited.
Yeah, I think it's a great timely pairing for these two, so good job for that. I like your comparison of these two players because last year we thought that the Seahawks were picking up Geno to lose. Nobody thought they were going to be good, and they ended up being good. And then this year seems like it's the same case with Dobbs. The Cardinals picked him up, didn't expect him to be good, and now he's doing pretty well. But I would still stick with Geno here, my player A. I think that the Seahawks are going to come out on top in this game. They're at home. They're favored in this game. But I think Dobbs will put up a good performance like he usually does. But like you said, it's surprising that Geno hasn't really done much this year because they even added Jackson Smith and Jigba. They took the first receiver off the board in the draft, and he hasn't really made an impact at all. And DK and Lockett there too. I mean, they're not even fantasy relevant. I know a lot of people listening play fantasy football, so DK's not doing anything. Lockett's not doing anything. JSN's not doing anything. The only player that's really doing anything is Kenneth Walker, and he doesn't even have that many yards. He just punches it in for the touchdown a lot of times. So it's definitely a great pairing. I'm interested to see what happens this week, but I mean, I don't know about Dobbs in terms of future. He's definitely shown that he wants to win, but I just think the second half of the season won't be as productive as the first half for him.
Yeah, that's a great comparison. I like both of these guys a lot, and I think it's an interesting point because I've heard that argument about Geno. I think Geno has shown to be much better than people gave him credit for even last year, and that's what made it so notable. The fact that they thought they lose Wilson, the all-star guy, and then Geno's actually, not more than serviceable, but well. But I think it does make a point to one is maybe the lack of talent in some ways for the Cardinals, but then you kind of give credence or credit to that argument against Geno is like the QBR difference. If you're just looking at QBR, again, numbers are many things, but he has many more weapons, and it's only like a 10, 11 point difference of QBR. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like I would be curious to see where Geno was at this time last year compared to Dobbs, but I think it gives credit to both.
He had 30 touchdowns, passing touchdowns last year.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So I personally don't think he could do it. Would he be on pace? I don't think so, but I don't know. It just seems like he's not having the best year.
There's the challenge of when you become known in the league that teams start to know how to strategize against you. So there's that. I think Smith is having to adjust. Every quarterback that stays in their second year for the job has to adjust to other teams knowing their tendencies. And I think that's sometimes the benefit, like sometimes boxers that didn't grow up boxing have such a weird methodology and style that professionals kind of have trouble sizing them up at times. It's not quite the same thing, but my point being, I think it gives both quarterbacks very good point. I could see if Kyler Murray's healthy, I don't think he stays in the Cardinals, but he could definitely, Dobbs is making a show. If he puts up numbers like Geno did last year, I think Dobbs has that hustle, at least watching the Cardinals. If he's doing this well in the Cardinals, like who would they have? Ertz is probably the most notable I can think of off the top of my head.
Brown.
Yeah, Marquise Brown. Yeah. Good guys, but no like all-star, but he's doing a lot with them. So, it's a good comparison. Yeah,
and that is a great comparison. And I like what you said, Caleb, about boxers, right? A boxer that didn't grow up boxing has a different style than somebody that's a professional boxer. I don't know if you guys watched KSI versus Tommy Fury. That was a great match. I think. I mean, not to.
It can be an advantage
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah, for
I
real.
think KSI won that, honestly. But
He
hey,
did.
That's,
He did.
Yeah, he won that.
He was rigged.
Yeah, I think it was rigged. So yeah, that's how it is. I think teams have more film on Geno Smith this year, and they know his tendencies, they know his weaknesses, and so they probably know how to contain him a little bit more. But still, I think these are okay stats. But yeah, you'd wish the QBR would be a little better. But yeah, compared to Dobbs, yeah, that is kind of sad that you can compare him to Dobbs at this.
That's
juncture.
close.
Yeah. And so yeah, I think that's a good comparison. But yeah, I'd still take Geno Smith and Dobbs. I mean, he needs to start playing more bad if they want to actually get Caleb Williams. I mean, I don't know what they're doing. Someone needs to talk to him. They need to pull what the Dolphins did, pay him or something under the table.
They don't realize how important it is to get Caleb Williams.
Yeah, they're playing with fire right now. He needs to stop playing good.
All right, our last pairing is gonna be sent in the group chat right now. Player A has 1,500 passing yards, way more than player B with 1,083. Player A has 9 touchdowns. Player B has 8 touchdowns. Player A has 6 interceptions. Player B also has 6 interceptions. QBR is split by nearly a little bit more than 3 points. A 46.8 QBR for player A, 43.3 QBR for player B. So player A, nearly 500 more passing yards, 1 more touchdown, same interceptions, and 3 more points on the QBR for player A. So, John, which player are you taking?
Well, there's no humanly way that anybody's going to choose player B in this scenario because it does nothing better than player A. So I know you're trying to trick us, and we all should pick player A.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with player A to play into what you want us to say, but I'm curious. I think player A might be Kirk Cousins, but I'm not sure. I'd be interested to see.
Okay, all right.
Sounds like
Perfect
a Kirk Cousins
1500.
line. A lot of passing yards and touchdowns, interceptions.
For reference, I should have said this in the beginning, but for reference, the do I have it on here? Yeah, the top QBR in the league is 76.9. So
That's Purdy.
yeah. So when we're thinking about QBR, that's what we're like. So 46 and 43 are well off, well off from the first, like ways down. So Caleb, who are you picking?
I think of the story behind these 4 digits of
Yeah,
numbers, right? Like these four.
I felt
like,
I felt
player-
so bad just putting these 4 up and being like, who is it?
manipulation. It's player A probably plays from behind more. Maybe is on a worse team, so they get more yards. Maybe they're safer with the ball, so they've thrown more, so they have more yards. Still the same amount of interceptions, but only 1 more touchdown versus player B, which has 500 less yards and 1 less touchdown and the same amount of
wild.
interceptions.
It might be the case where player A has a worse defense but is a better quarterback, and player B has a better defense and is a worse
Precisely.
quarterback or passer.
but like almost efficient,
Right.
more efficient, based off only these numbers you've given us. So, I'm gonna go with B.
Oh, okay.
Just
Just
to-
to
I think-
stir it up.
Yeah, just to stir it up.
All right.
Yeah.
Who split the decision? Jonathan, you're the deciding judge.
Decide. Yep.
Yeah. As an NFL scout, I'm looking at these stats. I gotta go with player A. I mean, he's better in literally every single category.
There's no
So-
reason you should pick player B.
Yeah, there's no reason to pick player B.
Yeah, unless you know Jared.
So yeah, I'm going player A.
Yeah, I'd also go with player A. All right, so
Who is
I'm gonna start with player B.
Okay.
Player B is Jordan Love. Is that surprising to anyone?
No,
No.
that's
Seems pretty
probably what I
accurate.
expected.
Yeah.
I was thinking Wilson in terms of.
So player A, you guys were kind of close. You're saying Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Who else could you think of? Like
Somebody in
Tannehill?
maybe Justin Herbert.
Justin
Somebody
Herbert.
in like that good quarterback but bad defense.
Tannehill staff.
Maybe like a Stafford.
Stafford, yeah.
Tannehill. You
Maybe
don't.
like a
You don't want to see
eh,
Tannehill
Mahomes.
stats.
No, Mahomes
No,
definitely has
Mahomes
better
has
QBR.
more than 9.
Yeah.
in
All right, so
touchdowns,
you guys are throwing around some top tier players, top tier quarterbacks.
Who is it?
This mother effer is Sam Howell.
Oh my god!
Wow,
Oh,
impressive.
Wow.
And Jonathan, you've been talking a lot about Eric Bieniemy, and Eric Bieniemy, should get a little bit of credit for what Sam Howell is doing. 1,500 yards, 9 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. QBR obviously needs to be way up there as far as the efficiency goes. But, man, I don't know. I mean, Sam Howell was picked, I think, in the 3rd round. Was a notable quarterback coming out of the draft, but wasn't drafted to be a starter. And he's landed in the starting position, and he's done quite well. And I think in the Bieniemy offense, this is like a culmination of just a perfect offense and a quarterback that is more than serviceable, kind of like what we were talking about with Dobbs. It's just a guy that can sling it. Like, it just straight up can sling it and doesn't hurt you when fourth quarters come. I mean, he went toe-to-toe with Hurts, if not played better against the Eagles and forced overtime. So, clutch quarterback. He's got all the tangibles to play well. It's just a matter of the all-around team. This Commanders defense, you guys kind of alluded to the first player having a bad defense. Commanders defense has been bad. It used to be so good. It's been bad this year. And so that's kind of, I thought you were going to say Sam Howell. But yeah, Sam Howell and Jordan Love. Jordan Love, a guy that the first game against the Bears, everyone's like, wow, we have an Aaron Rodgers 2.0. And the talk has slowly slowed down. And like, okay, let's pump the brakes on Jordan Love. We don't know if he's the guy yet. But very surprising at this giant difference.
Yeah, especially for the yards, having 450 yards more. But like I was kind of saying when I saw the stats, that like you said, Jared, the Commanders' defense is terrible. So when your defense is giving up 33 points to the Broncos, you're giving up 34 points to the Eagles, you're giving up 40 to the Bears, your offense is going to have to throw the ball a lot, and you're going to be playing from behind a lot. Now, they are 3-3, so they're not terrible. But I like what Jonathan said preseason. I didn't think Bieniemy was going to be this big of a difference. But, I mean, this Commanders offense doesn't look bad. They've got Curtis Samuel, Dotson, Logan Thomas, Terry McLaurin. They got De'Ami Brown. They've got Gibson. They've got Brian Robinson. I mean, they got a lot of options. And Bieniemy loves using all of them. I mean, we saw that with the Chiefs last year. He was using a lot of different players. And I thought that Andy Reid was really the mind behind it all. And maybe he still was. But at least Bieniemy learned a lot and is capable of being the offensive coordinator in Washington. So, I mean, I think it's a little skewed. I don't think the second half of the year will be as good for Howell, but I'm impressed with these stats and what Bieniemy is able to do.
Yeah, this is impressive by Sam Howell. And yeah, just to echo what you guys said. Yeah, I mean, Bieniemy does deserve a lot of that credit. I think Howell is, even last year they saw some talent in him. Even Coach Rivera said if we had known he was this talented, he would have been the starter earlier.
Nice.
And so, yeah, I mean, no shade to Carson Wentz, but yeah, Jordan Love. after that first game, I mean, I saw all these things on social media, on TikTok. People are like, oh, they're trying to put those videos, those nice stories where people are like, oh, Aaron Rodgers, this guy will never be like Aaron Rodgers, all that, and they posted Jordan Love, having a career day, his first game. And people were sort of overreacting after that very first game. I was like, guys, hold up. Who did they just beat? I forgot who it was. Was it the Bears or
Bears? Yeah.
Well, then the league saw how bad the Bears were for like the weeks after. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I was like, guys, I don't know if I'm too sold yet. Let's wait till they actually play a more competitive team. And that's what you've seen. Jordan Love, he looks like still a young quarterback that's trying to learn the game. I mean, hopefully the next year he's able to improve. But right now, he's not really there yet. And so, yeah, the franchise has a lot of growing to do. and hopefully they can be patient. I know a lot of NFL fans from all teams, they are sort of impatient with a lot of young quarterbacks like Zach Wilson, right? But with Jordan Love, I think it's going to take some growing for him to reach that next level because he's not there right now. And these stats definitely show it. So, yeah, I think nothing beats actually playing. Nothing beats playing experience. And so, yeah, I think and then maybe we'll see next year. Maybe he'll improve. But, yeah, for right now, it's going to be long next few weeks for the Packers. So.
No echo from Caleb.
Yeah, I mean, I'm. You give a lot of credit to Bieniemy and Howell playing well. You brought up that statement that Rivera made. Like, man, if we knew he was only as good, it makes me wonder how. And I think we discussed this a little bit, but whether Rivera's the guy for that organization, like how much he might. I think you look at his coaching record. He had the great year with Cam Newton, but that was like one of two. I mean, there was the 1 year with the Washington, but like, I don't know if he's the right coach to foster that talent, and if he's like handicapping in some ways Bieniemy or giving him full reign. Like the fact that we talk more about Bieniemy than Rivera, and like some of the statements I've seen from Rivera, like the Howell one, I don't know how that will go over organizationally.
That's a very good point. I don't see anything about Ron Rivera at all. Like it's all about Bieniemy.
He's the head coach.
Yeah, that's funny. Wow.
There were some other statements too where it's like he says one thing the one day, the other day, not to say flip flops, but like I don't know, just weird things like that. Like if he was in the building, you never saw him in practice. Like you're the head coach. Like you put the best guy up, and yeah, it wasn't until Bieniemy came that they either moved on from Heineke. It's like there's a lot going on with the Commanders, but that's kind of more where my mind went. So, fair play. I like Howell more than Heineke, so I at least concede that.
All right, well, that concludes our blind QB resume game. We're going to move on to Lock and Upset. Lock and Upset, we have Caleb, who first place went 0-2. It's very surprising. Yeah.
Am I back in first?
It depends. I mean, do you want to be in first?
I'll make the graphic this week.
Okay. All right, so John's going to get the last pick.
And I want the last pick.
We're going to the standings. John is 8-4. Caleb is 8-4. Jonathan is 7-5. He went 1-1. And I also went 1-1, and I'm at 5-7. I still haven't gotten an upset pick right. I'm due for one. I gotta freaking get one.
This is a hard week for them, I think.
Yeah, this is a difficult week for upsets.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw the spreads. I was like, I'm going to be reaching here.
Yeah.
Let's see what falls in our laps.
So the first one, since I am up first as always, I'm going with the Buffalo Bills over the New England Patriots.
Solid.
That is a -9 spread. So I think that's the biggest one. So I'm playing it pretty safe. Jonathan, you are up with your first lock.
My lock is the San Francisco 49ers versus the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay.
-6.5.
Potentially no CMC or Debo or Trent Williams.
Yeah.
So wait, you're going 49ers now?
Well, versus the Vikings. I mean, the Vikings aren't a physical team. That their defense is terrible.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
No Jay Jetta.
No Jay Jetta.
Yeah. Do you believe in Purdy now?
No, I just think they're gonna just gonna be too unbearable for the Vikings, specifically.
Yeah, it is -7, so fair play.
Caleb,
I will go.
Here we go. You actually have a good selection of picks.
Yeah, especially for locked. So I will go with the Chiefs over the Chargers.
That's the one I wanted.
Yeah, I normally don't pick the Chiefs. Either they're not there for me, or and I've picked the Chargers another week. So if the Chiefs lose, I won't be mad personally.
Don't you think?
I do think they'll beat.
Don't you think Justin Herbert's going to be able to be a hero and get his team over the hump and win the game?
He could, but I think the coaching is weak. Like that coach is on site with the organization. Like if you make another coaching mistake and Herbert can't pull you out of it or put the blame on himself and carry the load, then I think it's Staley going to be holding them back. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs, Andy Reid, Mahomes, and yeah, all that goes with it.
Okay, well, I'm going to go with the biggest line left on the table, and I'm surprised that the line is -8 here, but it's the Seahawks at home against the Cardinals.
That is very surprising.
I know, I'm surprised at that much. It should be maybe like 3 or 4.
Especially with the comparisons we just did.
Right.
It's interesting.
And the Seahawks.
I still like this. I like the Seahawks too, though. But I was surprised at the spread.
Right, and they just lost to the Bengals in Cincinnati, but they're coming back home. I think they're going to play a good game against the Cardinals. I think Geno's going to bounce back, have 2 or 3 touchdowns, and I think the Seahawks will win.
All right. For the upsets, I'm going to take a little bit of a pause here because I need to get this right. And I'm looking at these lines, and I can kind of think out loud for some of these.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's the smallest spread is Jags and Saints. Jaguars are +1, Saints -1, but I'm not going to touch that game. I think what I'm going to do, for me personally, thinking out loud, it's between, just in case I get it wrong.
Okay.
But I'm thinking about the Falcons over the Buccaneers, and I'm thinking about the Lions over the Ravens, and I believe more in the Lions. Unfortunately, I want to pick the Falcons, but I need to be right one time, and I feel backing the Lions is the right move. So I'm picking the Detroit Lions over the Baltimore Ravens +3 on DraftKings. I'm very, very shocked that they aren't favored as a 5-1 team, but
Interesting.
yeah, I'm taking the Detroit Lions. So, Jonathan, what is your upset?
Yeah, so I'm going to select. Let me know if I'm wrong on this, or the spread's not what I think it is. But I'm going to select the Chicago Bears to defeat the Las Vegas Raiders.
That's good.
Jimmy Garoppolo, he hurt his back, just like Mike Tyson said years ago after a boxing match.
I hurt
Like,
my back.
Exactly.
My back is broken.
Yeah, so I think with that, I think the Bears they need this. They need another win. I mean, the talent is there, and we saw them play a great game last week, and so I think they'll carry it forward for this week. So let's see.
I broke my back. Spinal. That's what he said. That's what he said.
I never heard this. But
I gotta play it for you. It's so funny.
It'll be on the. We'll play the clip.
He's like, "Are you hurt? I broke my back.
My back.
Spinal.
What part of your back?
It's nothing to laugh about. Back injuries are very serious.
He's fine now.
Hopefully, Garoppolo's okay.
Okay.
Well, and Tyson, I'm sure. Yeah.
And Tyson, 40 years
Covering
later.
all the bases.
Yeah, it's like I broke my back. He's like, wait, what do you mean? My back is broken.
Spinal. Oh man. All right, Caleb with the upset. What do you got? And don't leave the easiest one for John because he's looking at it.
I'm looking at it. I don't know why you guys didn't pick this one, but
I'm between the Falcons and Jags. I'm not afraid to say it because, but the Bucs have such a good defense. But the Saints have picked up. But I'm gonna go against my bias because I've been picking a lot of the Falcons. I'm gonna pick the Jags over the Saints.
Yes.
Okay, so that's +1 on Thursday Night Football. Okay, so we left John with the best game.
I don't know why you guys do it.
Okay, this is the first.
This is why I want to pick last because it's just as easy as picking first.
Oh no.
Oh gosh. Well, guys.
He's still thinking. He doesn't even know what he's going to
go
pick.
to your head.
The New York Football Giants will beat the Washington Commanders.
Oh.
Saquon Barkley is back.
They look good. They look
at
good.
home, MetLife Stadium. This is going to be a win for the Giants. I don't care if Daniel Jones plays or Tyrod Taylor plays. This will be a win for the Giants. Defense will step up.
Yeah, dude.
I respect that actually, especially if it's Barkley playing.
Right.
And they look good.
That's
they
the
look
key.
good against the
They
Bills.
did.
It's just so
Even with
frustrating.
Tyrod, yeah.
Like it's just like
Oh, that one.
there's two
That
plays.
one- yeah.
Anyway, like the end of the first half,
End of the first half and end of the
sec-
game. That's
yeah,
it.
like why don't you just do the tush push? I mean,
Right.
there's been
Yeah.
successful most of the time from like most teams. Just do it. Just try it and see what happens.
They don't have the offensive line.
No, their line, 2 of the guys got
What?
hurt the last time because of it. So
I think the Cowboys did it, but then I saw a team try it and actually not get it.
The Cowboys.
Chargers and
don't know.
Cowboys both.
Yeah.
didn't
The
get it.
Cowboys, they asked Dak about it. They're like, why didn't the tush push work? And they're like, he's like, they didn't tush my push hard enough. Or push my tush hard enough. He's like, that's it. And that's all that happened.
But yeah, I mean, if it's such an OP play, every team should always run it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
All right.
right. That's Very good. I guess John doesn't want to overtake first as the sole person.
I'm already first.
And tie.
I will
Asterisk.
be
Asterisk.
first. I will be
In my
first
mind, in your
until
mind.
next season now.
Well, then Astra tied.
Don't let the pride go to your
Yeah,
head.
I'm at least going to be tied for first
Okay,
or
there you go.
sole possession
There you
first
go.
until
Oh.
next season.
Okay.
So
there
I
we
hope,
go.
Caleb, I'm sure you did enjoy it. But you're going to be sliding down the
No.
standings.
Be careful, John. As your friend, pride comes before the fall. So
That's true.
be on your tail for now.
I'm just trying to give you guys some motivation.
Oh no, I'm motivated.
That upset me deeply. Just
That affected me deeply.
That probably most likely affected me deeply.
Will Caleb potentially be in contention for
first
For
place.
first place.
Ah,
All right.
yeah, we'll see. Time will tell.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening and thank you for watching our Week 7 preview episode of the Dormant Podcast. Make sure you go over to our TikTok and Instagram at Dormant Podcast and hit that follow button. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, dang it! Why aren't you subscribed? We are so close to 5,000 subscribers. And if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, it affects me deeply. So please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. And as always, we will see you guys next week. I forgot about the 5-star podcast. The fucking Apple Podcast and Spotify. Oh well.
That works.
Yeah, it's fine. It's what it is.
People